Watch a talented speaker perform, and there are subtleties that are easy to miss. And one such subtlety is what happens when the audience asks a question. Let's have ourselves a pocket-sized pep talk, and I'll not only show you 2 techniques used by the pros, but I'll also show you a special third technique often missed by the pros.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
You know one of the kindest things an audience can do for a presenter? Simply ask questions. It shows interest in the topic, an appreciation for the speaker, and often lets you know if there's any confusion within the audience. Unfortunately, far too often, presenters are totally unaware of the opportunity at hand. Because of an occasional bout of insecurity along with a desire to achieve credibility, the question is often gobbled up by presenters, and before you can say, "Rob's your uncle," the presenter has answered it. What a wasted opportunity. There's not one but 2 classic approaches to addressing this. The first approach is what's referred to as a reverse. The reverse technique is initiated by questions from the participants. It might sound something like this. Excuse me, what do you think's the best approach for us to use in our role plays tomorrow morning? That's a good question. What approach have you been considering? Well, I thought maybe the strategic tactical approach. Okay. What benefits do you think would be gained by that particular tactic? Well, we could use both processes taught and still be in position to think on our feet if we weren't receiving the kind of information anticipated. Excellent. And I could not agree more. Allowing yourself the flexibility to react in the role play should in fact be a major factor in the approach you select. Good job. See, often the participant has an answer, or at least a hunch. When presenters are doing their jobs, reversing the question allows that participant to stay engaged and builds confidence in his or her decision making. A second approach is what's referred to as a relay. Now, the relay technique involves the presenter either taking a question or asking a question of their own, but then simply moving that same question around the room, getting input from other participants. Now, here's an example. Excuse me, what do you think is the best approach for us to use in our role plays tomorrow morning? It's a good question. What approach would the rest of you be leaning to? Maybe the strategic tactical approach? Great. That would afford some flexibility. Any other suggestions? Another participant. We could also use certain anchor statements in the key areas of the role play. Perfect. So there are multiple approaches. The key will be making sure the approach you choose lines up with the case study you'll be working from. All right, now you see, by involving others, using the resources within the room, and prompting discussion, these 2 techniques sure look like winners. There's still one last step most presenters miss, however. In both examples, you'll notice the presenter adds support to the response where it's necessary and, in a way, puts the finishing touches on the participant's response. In the end, you're the subject matter expert, and the group looks to you for answers. By applying your responses at the end of the exchange, you'll not only be validating the correct response for the group, you won't have to feel vulnerable to a group that might be wondering if you actually do know the answer. Certainly not every question needs to be reversed or relayed, but in many situations, it's a goldmine of an opportunity. Just don't forget to add the finishing touches to the responses you hear.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.